I reached the age of 34. The invitation to my birthday stated that dinner would begin at 6 o'clock. No gifts were requested, only the joy of company. By 6:45, it became clear no one intended to arrive. At 7:12 in the evening, my sister sent a message saying, "It is too far to drive just for a birthday." My mother added, "Maybe next weekend. We are too tired." I did not respond with an argument. Instead, I logged into the foundation account I had established 2 years ago, updated every authorized name except mine, and then sent a brief email. Starting today, I decided to suspend all support. At the stroke of midnight, my sister called me 12 times. Shortly after, a notification appeared on my phone, and its content completely changed my next step. I turned 34. The birthday invitation read, "Dinner begins at 6 o'clock. No gifts, only presents." By 6:45, I noticed I was alone. I lit the last tea light candle and stepped back to gaze at the table one final time. The ceramic plates, white with golden edges, were a gift from my aunt who passed away the previous year. I reserved them solely for special moments. Tonight was meant to be one of those occasions. I had prepared their favorite meals. My mother enjoyed my lemon-roasted chicken. My sister always requested my rosemary potatoes whenever she was going through a breakup. For my cousin Ethan, I made that silly spinach dip he pretended not to like but quietly devoured. Exactly at 6 in the evening, I sat at the head of the table. I even wore a proper button-up shirt, the kind that still had the dry cleaning tag attached. I poured myself a glass of wine, a gentle Cabernet filled with earthy warmth. I was not expecting any confetti or balloons, nor did I want any fuss. I only wanted presents. I never asked for gifts. I even mentioned it in the invitation. No gifts, just your presence. That was all. By 6:15, I began checking my phone. A few read receipts, a heart reaction to the invitation. No messages like "I'm on my way" or "stuck in traffic." Nothing. By 6:30, the food was getting cold, and my jaw was tightly clenched. My stomach twisted in that familiar way it always did before something disappointing. I had been through this before, not at this exact table or this specific date, but with the same silence and avoidance, as if effort was something they couldn't handle. At 6:45, I finally accepted the truth. No one was coming. At 7:12, my phone buzzed. It was a text from my sister. "Too far to drive for just a birthday." She wrote just like that. No apology, no emoji, nothing. 12 minutes later, my mom added a message. "Maybe next weekend? We are exhausted." That was all. No one asked how I felt. No one cared that I had spent the entire day scrubbing, baking, seasoning, and setting a table with candles and memories. No one cared. It was my 34th birthday. I didn't argue or respond. I simply stood alone in my quiet apartment and walked over to my laptop. I logged into the foundation account I had created 2 years ago, the one I used discreetly to send money, pay bills, and cover emergencies. I removed every authorized user except myself. Then I typed one line, clear, harsh, and undeniable. As of today, I paused all support. At midnight, my phone began buzzing. My sister called once, then again, eventually, 12 times in total. But it was too late. The alert on my phone at 12:47 a.m. caused my hand to freeze in the middle of a sip. Its message altered everything completely. It read, "Bank transfer declined due to insufficient authorization." Below that was the account name, Martin Family Relief Foundation. Then the sender's name, Carol Martin, my mother. She had just attempted to send $3,200. The very same woman who could not drive that far for her daughter's birthday dinner. I dropped heavily onto the edge of the couch, the wine in my glass spilling onto my pants. My hands trembled with anger, not shock. At that very moment, The illusion shattered fully, and the fragile structure beneath it all crumbled. My role and reason within this family had always been clear. Provider, problem solver, invisible presence. They never celebrated me. They relied on me. 2 years prior, when Dad suffered a heart attack that wiped out their savings, I was the one who intervened. No questions or scoldings. I quietly created a fund under my own name, linked it to my business account, and began transferring money monthly. They called it the family safety net. They used it as if it were an ATM, expecting emotional favors in return. When Emily, my sister, lost her job for the third time due to her resistance to corporate culture, I covered her rent. When my mother's car broke down en route to a bridge club, I sent $600 within an hour. When my cousin Ethan wanted to repair his credit, I co-signed a minor loan for him. I have not seen any of it returned, not even a note of gratitude. And do you know what is even worse? They never inquired about how I was feeling. Not a single time. Not when I was working 70-hour weeks to meet my KPIs and maintain my position as senior project lead. Not when I canceled vacations to send urgent transfers. Not when I began taking anxiety medication just to fall asleep because I was frightened someone might message me, "Need help at 2 a.m. Once, there was one particular moment that left a lasting mark in my memory. Last Thanksgiving, I was unable to go home due to a work emergency. I FaceTimed everyone from my empty office with a tray of Chinese food in front of me. They passed the phone between them as if it was bothersome. Emily waved while holding a wine glass and commented, "Workaholic vibes as usual." I joked back, "Did you guys save me some food?" My mom laughed and responded, "Alexandra, darling, you are not really a food person." That was my role. Useful. Not cherished or truly noticed. I replayed those scenes while staring at the transfer failure message. Then I browsed the transaction history. My stomach twisted. Emily had withdrawn $1,000 3 weeks prior, marked as professional development. That was the same weekend she posted bikini photos from Cancun with the caption, "Find me where the Wi-Fi and the vibes are rich." Ethan had taken out $500 labeled as car repair. He does not even own a car, but he does gamble at the casino down the highway. My mom established a recurring grocery transfer of $320 every 2 weeks, and it had been going out without fail since March. I paid more attention to these details than anyone else. Feeding my mother was something she did more than show up for me. Then it struck me. They had not forgotten my birthday. Instead, they chose not to attend because their happiness did not depend on me. What they needed was my usefulness. Once I stopped being useful, I became unnecessary. I stood up and grabbed the printed copies of my bank statements, the ones stored in a file labeled Family Trust. I had documented every payment, every favor, every single dollar that left my account under the guise of love. But love should never leave you feeling empty. At 10:03 in the morning, I sent individual emails to each of them. No mass message, no softening the truth. The subject line was clear and direct. I wrote, "You have withdrawn more than just money. You have taken my time, my energy, my happiness. I gave without expecting gratitude. I trusted without asking for receipts. And you took without limits or remorse. Starting now, I am withdrawing too. No more transfers, loans, co-signing, or emergency funds. The foundation is closed. The ATM is offline. I am no longer your financial backup. If you need help, ask one another or consult Google. Happy belated birthday to me." After that, I turned off my phone. At 6:58 in the morning, it started buzzing on the nightstand. It was Emily. I let it ring. Then I heard Mom repeated 3 times. I did not answer. By 7:11, my voicemail was full. My sister Carol messaged, "You cannot be serious. You are just cutting us off." Moments later, she added, This is really cruel. Alexandra, emotionally distressed she was. Then came the words, Mom, this is not how family should behave. We do not mistreat one another like this. The irony was overwhelming, pure and raw, because that was exactly what they had done. Punished me for setting limits, punished me for living beyond their expectations. I stayed silent, rose to make coffee, poured oat milk just as usual. My quietness spoke volumes, louder than any words they had uttered. Yet silence did not deter them. At 8:24 in the morning, Emily appeared at my door. I spotted her through the peephole, tapping her foot impatiently like a parent ready to reprimand a misbehaving child. I refused to open the door. She knocked once more, with greater force. I cracked the door just enough to meet her gaze. Her lips formed a scowl instantly. You're seriously not letting me in? She challenged. I did not invite you, I responded calmly. She sneered and folded her arms. You have lost your mind, Alexandra, by shutting down the foundation. Have you any idea how that harms us? You mean you? I retorted. You and Cancun and your digital detox retreats. She recoiled. Do not pretend you are superior to us just because you secured a good job. I was better than you, I replied, because I kept showing up. I paid your rent when your employer fired you for chronic tardiness. I covered your health insurance when you neglected Cobra. I gave you every safety net you asked for, and you tore it apart like a spoiled teenager. Her expression stiffened. You always said you wanted to help. That has always been your line. It does not mean I agreed to carry everyone's burdens forever. She paused, taking a breath to collect herself. You are making a mountain out of a molehill. You are only upset because of the birthday situation. Enough, I snapped. You did not forget. You chose to ignore it because it was not worth your effort. That is the truth, right? The distance to dinner was too great, the cost of gas too high, or whatever other excuse lets you rest easy. She bit her lip but did not deny it. You have made your point, she hissed. Congratulations. You hurt everyone just to feel in control just this once. I did not flinch. No, I said. I finally stopped harming myself just to maintain a false image of peace. I shut the door softly, not with a slam, but like closing a chapter, like sealing a coffin. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up again. Alex, this is tearing the family apart. We just need to talk. I replied, You had 34 years to talk. Now I only believe actions. That is when the manipulation started at full speed. At 10:04 in the morning, a group chat called Family was created. Ethan added, We need to come together, not fall apart. Emily, brother, I have bills due today. Really? With this drama? Carol said, Emily, you are punishing Riley too. She's just a child, and she loves you. Riley, my niece, my soft spot. It was a clever move to drag her into this, but I knew the tactic. They had played this game too many times. Guilt, pressure, deflection, and then repeat. I did not reply. Then came the final strike. At 11:42 in the morning, a private message from Mom arrived. Your father's heart cannot withstand this stress. If anything happens to him, it will be your responsibility. I dropped my phone as if it were on fire. They kept manipulating me, still pulling the strings of guilt, trying to bend me to their will. But something inside me finally broke. I picked the phone back up, pressed record, and spoke into the microphone with a tone I had never used before. This is a message for my family. For every call you made, every attempt to guilt trip me, every time you ignored me until you needed something. I am not angry. I am finished. Finished being your safety net. Finished being your backup plan. Finished being the target for your mistakes. You claim this is destroying the family. Here's the truth. There was no family, just a bank with a soul, and that bank has now shut down. I owe you nothing. No explanations, no responses, no traces left behind. Goodbye. I sent this message to the group chat and exited it. Then I left the conversation completely. That night my phone rang once more. I answered quietly. Elaine's voice cracked with panic over the line. Alexandra, someone just froze my account. The landlord is threatening eviction. What did you do? I asked. Nothing, she replied. Are you even paying attention? Are you really going to let your family become homeless? Click. 2 hours later, a call from a different number. Ethan's voice this time. Emily, you have made your point. Can you just turn the support back on for this month? We will find a solution afterward. I chose not to respond further. By midnight, they had called 27 times. My apartment was calm and quiet. I poured myself another glass of wine, switched on some jazz, and gazed out at the city lights flickering through the window. For the first time since becoming an adult, I did not feel obligated to anyone. I felt liberated. The next morning, the sunlight gently roused me. Not a buzzing phone, not an urgent email, not a notification from someone needing assistance. Just warm, golden calm. In that stillness, I noticed something unusual. There was no anxiety. No guilt either. Instead, a profound serenity washed over me, as if my nervous system had finally shut down after endless years of constant alertness. Yet, finding peace is never simple when your existence has been an ongoing emergency room for everyone around you. During the first week, I kept instinctively checking my phone, half expecting a message like, "Hey, quick question," or "Can you VMO me?" Or even a hollow, "How are you?" that secretly carried a hidden request. But nothing arrived. It was not from Mom, nor from Emily, nor even Ethan. At first I believed they were finally respecting my space. I was mistaken. They were regrouping because silence was not surrender. It was a deliberate move, a manipulative pause before the next wave hit. But I refused to wait around for the fallout. I chose to move forward. Over the weekend, I drove to the coast, switched my phone to airplane mode, and spent hours watching waves break on the rocks. No thoughts, no family worries, just the ocean's timeless melody, what it had done long before me, and what it will continue to do long after. That night, I enjoyed my first fully uninterrupted sleep in over a year. In the following days, I began to... Taking back everything they have sapped from me became my mission. I rejoined a gym, began working on a short story that had been hidden on my laptop since 2018, enrolled in cooking classes, and perhaps the most daring step, I submitted an application to speak at a local TEDx event. My subject was emotional bankruptcy, exploring how families drain our energy and the ways we reclaim ourselves. Just as I was putting this renewed version of myself together, the past showed up unexpectedly. A letter arrived without a return address, its stiff paper typewritten rather than handwritten. It read, "Alexandra, we all believe you are being unreasonable. You are overreacting. We were simply trying to make ends meet. Families should support each other. You hurt everyone when you closed the foundation. You made us feel insignificant. We felt left out. Is that what you wanted? Perhaps you have forgotten your roots. Think about it." There was no love or apology from Mom, just blame printed in 14-point font. I fed the letter into the shredder without hesitation. Yet something surprising occurred 3 days later when my doorman called. A woman was asking for me, claiming to be my cousin. A cousin? I had not seen Tiffany in more than 10 years. She was the other black sheep, the one with tattoos and outspoken views who dared to expose my mother's hypocrisy during a Thanksgiving in 2011, resulting in her being banned from all future family gatherings. I had not heard from her since then, and now she was standing right in my lobby, clad in combat boots and a leather biker jacket. Holding a file folder, She greeted me as I stepped out, saying, "Hey, Alex, I am not here to borrow money." I chuckled. It was the first genuine laugh I had experienced in several weeks. She stayed with me in my apartment for more than an hour. We exchanged stories, vented frustrations, shared jokes, and then she slid the folder across the table. Inside were screenshots, emails, and bank statements. Emily, Ethan, even my mother, all of them were engaging in deceit. They were not just withdrawing funds for emergencies, but also charging reimbursements to a separate account. Tiffany uncovered this while working at the accounting firm that my cousin Ethan once used. It involved a phantom account under the name Alexandra M. Family Trust Extended. The account bore my name, yet I never created it. They did, using it to divert an additional $28,000 in the past year without my knowledge. Tiffany conducted this forensic investigation driven by curiosity and a desire for justice. "I have despised how they treated you," she said, "but this crosses into criminal behavior." I remained seated, hands trembling. I wanted to feel fury, but instead, I felt a sense of closure. This was the evidence I had unknowingly sought. They had not merely exploited me, they had stolen from me and lied outright while presenting a friendly facade. Tiffany offered to assist me in filing charges. She had connections, legal advice, and even knew an investigative journalist from college who would eagerly pursue this story. However, I did not want a courtroom battle. I desired a cleaner solution. Opening my laptop, I typed a single line. As of today, Alexandra M. is not responsible. For debts incurred through deceitful family consent, legal assistance was secured. I reached out to the family quietly. Then, I sent an anonymous message to the IRS, attaching proof. 2 weeks afterward, Emily left a voicemail, her tone shaky. She said, "Alexandra, we are under audit. Someone reported us. Ethan is losing it. Mom is in tears." Was that you? I erased the message and planned a weekend in Denver, where I delivered my TEDx presentation to an audience of strangers who clapped as if I had just handed them the key to freedom. I shared how I financed every falsehood, how I confused generosity with love, and how I ultimately prioritized myself. When I stepped off the stage, a young woman in the front row stood up and said, "Thank you. I did not realize I could stop before." Neither did I until this moment. It has been just over half a year. Half a year since I lit candles at a dinner abandoned by everyone. Half a year since my sister claimed the distance to celebrate my birthday was too far. Half a year since my mother said she was drained, only to attempt to withdraw more than $3,000 that very night from the Martin Family Relief Foundation I quietly established. Half a year since I refused to continue. In that period, I have not communicated with any of them. Not Ela, not Mom, not Ethan. Yet, I have never been contacted so frequently. Group chats I exited still buzz without my involvement. Passive-aggressive voicemails. Letters soaked with guilt and veiled intimidation. Silent sobs from Mom over the phone. Furious messages from Ethan's girlfriend accusing me of wrecking a family heritage, and shame should be attached to it. The heritage? You mean that fraudulent account created using my name through which $28,000 were drained? Exactly. I tore down what was built on guilt. And I would do it once more because I did not just turn my back on them. I finally stepped toward myself for the very first time in my grown-up life. I feel like I am truly inhabiting my own self, no longer trapped in the emotional costume they forced on me. The dependable one, the cash machine, the martyr. Craving closure? Here is what closure truly means. Emily's eviction notice became official record 2 months ago. Apparently, her landlord was not convinced by her spiritual retreats and health blogs as suitable guarantees for the overdue rent. She tried contacting me through a shared acquaintance. I did not reply, but I sent a modest parcel via Amazon. Inside it was a book on budgeting, a gift card worth nothing, and a handwritten message saying simply, "This is genuine self-care." Ethan, as far as I know, had his fake consulting tax deductions flagged by the IRS and his accounts locked. I chose not to file charges. The document trail Tiffany handed me was sufficient to expose every hiding place he used. He emailed me 3 words. "You happy now?" I answered with 2. "Absolutely liberated." And Mother? She still sends those lengthy letters filled with poetic manipulation disguised with expressions like, "I only ever wanted what was best for everyone." Remember, I love you even if I didn't say it enough. You used to be so generous. She even sent one containing a childhood picture of me holding a Lego spaceship had the caption, "Do you remember when you built things instead of breaking them?" I framed that photo, not because I longed for her presence, but because it reminded me that I once created out of happiness, not duty. Now I have that joy again. The novel I hid away for many years is finally complete. Its title is Dinner at 6, a story of conditional love. My publisher shared that the book moved them to tears and felt like a revolution disguised as a confession. Here is the surprising part. It is dedicated to 2 individuals and Melanie Aya's former closest friend, the woman I quietly sent $500 to years ago so she could flee an abusive setting. Today she lives in Portland with her wife and their daughter. She reached out to me unexpectedly with the message, "That money saved my life. Your silence was louder than their noise." And then there is Ken Riley, my niece, the sole innocent heart caught in the chaos. She sent me a letter written on lined paper with a rainbow sticker sealing the envelope. She wrote, "I miss you. Mommy says you are not angry anymore, but she continues to cry. Will you come back someday? If I bake your favorite cookies, would that help?" It broke my heart, yet I didn't return. Instead, I posted her a copy of The Little Prince, marking passages about taming, love, and responsibility. Inside I wrote, "I will always be here, though not always where you expect. You are not charged with fixing adults. You are free." I continued to send her birthday presents anonymously. Someday, if she develops into someone who values truth more than tradition, I will share everything with her. As for myself, I have created a different life. I no longer look at my bank balance with anxiety. I do not wake up consumed by worries about who I failed to protect. I have established limits now. Not barriers, but entrances. Certain individuals are allowed in. People like Julia. Do you remember Julia, the social worker I connected with after my TEDx talk in Denver? Now, our Saturday mornings are spent together, enjoying coffee, sharing private jokes, and making progress in therapy. She asks nothing from me besides honesty. When she inquires, "How are you?" I trust she genuinely wants the truth. Julia was the first to tell me, "You did not destroy your family. You dismantled the system that was oppressing you." And she was absolutely correct. Because here is something nobody mentions. Frequently, healing resembles silence. It sometimes means blocking a telephone number. At other times, it is saying no without giving a justification. And sometimes it entails igniting the foundations built on your guilt and walking away as the smoke slowly fades behind you. Therefore, to anyone reading this, to anyone who has always been the quiet supporter, the backbone that was never acknowledged, the forgotten birthday, you are not heartless for deciding to pause. You are not flawed for declaring enough. You are not selfish for choosing to survive. I did not lose my family. I lost their version of me.